Welcome to Impact Leadership. I'm Brother Jackie Cannell, and I am so excited to have the opportunity to speak to you about a subject that I absolutely love to talk about, and that is leadership. When we think about leadership, I'm telling you, it gets me going because I'm a firm believer that everything rises and falls off leadership. And I just want to thank you for connecting with us at Impact Leadership. And this is a great session for you to kind of connect with, and I believe it's going to be encouraging to you. And I want to talk about how to develop potential leaders around you. You know, when you think about leaders that surround you, great leaders like you that have tuned in, you always want to make sure that you develop potential leaders around you. I'm a firm believer that one of the things that is our assignment as leaders is to recognize that we need to look for potential leaders around us and how that we develop them and make an investment in their life. I believe that one of the things that we're faced with today is that we're not seeing enough leaders developing out of our companies and our leadership. And I believe that we need to make sure that we surround ourselves with people that are potential leaders. And so when you think about that, I want to give you just about 4 or 5, 6 things that may help you. And the first thing I want to remind you is potential leaders are either an asset or a liability to the organization. Now, when you think about that, when you look at potential leaders around you, when you see the people, you get them in your mind, you're able to think about them, you have to ask yourself, is this person that's in my organization going to be an asset to this organization, or are they going to be a liability? Now, I've learned along the journey of life that even though there are a lot of people that may be around us that are potential leaders, some people bring assets to the company or the organization. Other people in promotion brings liability. Now, as a leader, you have to have enough wisdom to really sit down and analyze that. I encourage people that call me and talk to me and say, Brother Jackie, I want to develop people around me. What I try to do is encourage them as the primary leader, that when they look at the potential leaders around them, to really and truly, now this is going to come, I think this is great advice for you. You need to write down, watch this, write down their name on paper. Write down John Doe. Write down John Doe on paper and just kind of begin to write down all the strengths and all the things about John Doe. And I need for you to just focus your mind on John Doe as a potential leader. Now, when you do that, I want you to make sure that you analyze all that you put in that under that name, John Doe. And I want you to sit down and really just kind of make sure that you put that under a microscope and ask yourself, if I promote John Doe in leadership, is John Doe going to be an asset to this organization, or are they going to be a liability? Because, folks, listen, everybody has the potential to do one or the other. So you've got to really look at that. And I want to make sure that in your looking at potential leaders, that you don't just look at, are they an asset, but will they be a liability? Now, I've learned in life that sometimes people, when they're promoted and they're potential leaders and they're promoted, if you don't sit down and really analyze their strengths and their weaknesses, their motivation, their commitment, then all of a sudden you can be promoting somebody that will cause problems in the future in your organization. So make sure that when you're looking at potential leaders that you analyze, are they going to be an asset or a liability? And watch this, be realistic with your analysis. That is, you want to make sure that you sit down and you really and truly lay it on the table and you're realistic with your evaluation. Now, that's your job as a leader. Your job as a leader is to look at the potential leaders around you, because the second thing I want you to remember is leaders determine the level of the organization. That is, if you promote potential leaders, that are in your organization, then those that you promote, those that you surround yourself with, or those that you entrust to be leaders are going to determine the level of your organization in the days, months, and years to come. So be careful with that. And then an organizational growth potential is directly related to its personnel potential. In other words, if you look at your organization potential, it's going to be directly related to your personnel potential, and those two work together. And if you look at your team and your leadership team, and you are promoting potential leaders that have great potential to cause your leadership level to rise, then obviously your organizational level is going to rise. But those two work in sync one with another. So when you think about potential leaders around you, you've got to make sure that you look at all that in its proper perspective, understanding. Do you want your company to grow? Do you want your business to go? Do you want your organization to grow? Well, then, my friend, you have to promote potential leaders that have the capacity to propel that organization to the level that you see that you want to go. And then potential leaders help carry the load. When you are looking at leaders around you, you need to watch this. You need to share the load with them, and they help carry that load. In other words, the very reason that you want to promote potential leaders is to get some of this stuff off of you onto them. Now, you've got to look at that. Are they strong enough to carry the load? Are they confident enough to carry the are they competent enough to carry the load? So you got to look at that. And then leaders who mentor potential leaders multiply their effectiveness. In other words, if I'm going to be a leader that's going to mentor a potential leader, then what I'm really doing is multiplying my leadership. So I want to make sure that when I look at potential leaders, that they're able to be coached and they're able to be led. And then I believe this, guys. I believe this with everything that's in me. To grow a great organization, you've got to grow great leaders. And you have to realize that growing that great organization, you're growing great leaders, and there is no success without a successor. So when you look at this, you got to make sure that you're making your investment in your potential leaders, and just sit down and analyze, look at all that. And then when you make the decision to bring that person on, watch this, trust them, coach them, and communicate with them. And I believe that when you trust them, coach them, and communicate with them, that you're going to be able to see your leadership muscle multiplied, and you're going to be able to see you getting strength in your organization. And I believe that as we grow in our leadership, and we grow in our companies, and we grow in our organization, that we've got to have more leaders, and we've got to equip them as we lay into their life these principles that I believe as we lay those down, that they're going to grow stronger, and they're going to be effective and efficient, and you're going to see yourself building successors in your ministry as you invest in potential leaders. So thank you for tuning in to this very special time, and I love leadership, and I'm glad that you connected, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week at the same time. Please check out jcimpact.org. jcimpact.org. There's all kind of resources there, y'all, for you to connect with. So make sure that you do that. I'll see you next time as we get together.